Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my TBR for the 11th round of the Queer Lit Readathon. If you missed my announcement video, the 11th round of the Queer Lit Readathon is actually a month-long event this year. Usually we just do the first full week in June, but this year we're just doing all of June. We of course have our ever lovely bingo board of 16 prompts, and this is an ambitious TBR. Usually I try to cover all 16 prompts with as few books as possible, which usually actually ends up being still like 10 books for a week. However, I somehow have 17 or 18 books on this list for a 16 prompt TBR. I figured that since we have the entire month, I'm going to pick one book per prompt, with the exception of a couple of prompts. I actually have 2 books for those. And because I do want to re-kickstart my reading because it's been a bit lower in the last few months because I've been traveling. I've read 12 books a month when I'm used to reading more like 20 to 26 books a month. So we're gonna see if I can do 16 to 18. Let's see how it goes. Our first prompt on the bingo board is a banned book. There have been a lot of banned queer books recently, which also makes it really easy for me to find books that have been banned and then read them despite the people banning them. I think that the book that I chose might have come from the ALA's most banned books of 2022, or it could have just come from a quick Google search. Anyway, the book I decided to read for this prompt is Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evanson. If you've been here for a while, you know that I don't usually like to read synopses before I read books. However, because this is a very important TBR for me, I am going to let you know at least the first bit of the synopsis of all of these books. For Mike Muniz, a young Chicano living in Washington State, life has been a whole lot of waiting for something to happen. Not too many years out of high school and still doing menial work, and just fired from his latest gig as a lawn boy on a landscaping crew. He knows that he's got to be the one to shake things up if he's ever going to change his life. But how? In this funny, angry, touching, and ultimately deeply inspiring novel, best-selling author Jonathan Evanson takes the reader into the heart and mind of a young man on a journey to discover himself, a search to find the secret to achieving the American dream of happiness and prosperity. That's the birthright for all Americans, isn't it? If so, then what is Mike Muniz's problem? Based on the outrage of this random reviewer on Goodreads about how it sexualizes children, wait, didn't it say that he's out of high school? I think I'm going to enjoy it and be very excited that I can help bump up the star rating of this banned book. Our next prompt is group read, and this month we have 2 different group reads that you can choose from, hoping that you'll at least have access to one or the other. I've read both of these before and I've decided I'm going to be rereading both of these. In the case of All Boys Aren't Blue, this is a memoir by George M. Johnson, and I'm actually going to read you the review that I left in 2020 after reading this book instead of reading the synopsis. This is a fantastic intersectional young adult memoir about growing up Black and queer, dealing with assault, sexual trauma, family dynamics, and gender uncertainty. Like I said, I enjoyed it the first time. I'm looking forward to revisiting it. Our other group read for this round is Finna by Nino Cipri. Again, I've read and enjoyed this one before, and also my review last time was this was a fantastic wee adventure open to infinite possibilities. Since this one is fiction, I am going to read a little bit of the synopsis just so you get an idea for it. When an elderly customer at a Swedish big box furniture store, no, not that one, slips through a portal into another dimension, it's up to 2 minimum wage employees to track her across the multiverse and protect their company's bottom line. Multi-dimensional swashbuckling would be hard enough, but these 2 unfortunate souls broke up about a week ago. Like I said, it's fantastic. Our next prompt is Trans Joy, and for this one I've decided to literally read something called Gender Euphoria. It has such a wonderful trans flag cover, and that right there makes me happy. Gender Euphoria, a powerful feeling of happiness experienced as a result of moving away from one's birth-assigned gender. I suppose in theory cis people could also experience gender euphoria when you're like very, very excited about the gender you were assigned and you just have a happiness about that. But this really isn't about cis feelings right now, just saying. So often the stories shared by trans people around their transition center on gender dysphoria, a feeling of deep discomfort with their birth-assigned gender, and a powerful catalyst for coming out or transitioning. But for many non-cisgender people, it's gender euphoria that pushes forward their transition. The joy the first time the parent calls them by their chosen name, the first time they have confidence to cut their hair short, the first time they truly embrace themselves. So excited for this. This is gonna be so uplifting. Next, we have a prompt that we have every round, and that's the choose your own prompt. I don't know what to call this prompt because honestly, this book could cover a few of the other prompts that we have. So I think I'm just calling this prompt the I want to read it and I didn't know where to put it prompt. For this prompt, I'll be reading Going Bi-Coastal by Dahlia Adler. A queer sliding doors YA rom-com in which a girl must choose between summer in New York with her dad and the girl she's always wanted, or LA with her estranged mom and the guy she never saw coming. I've never seen Sliding Doors, but if you think that I should watch it before I read this book, please let me know. In Dahlia Adler's Going Bi-Coastal, there's more than one path to happily ever after. That's enough for me. If you want to know more about the synopsis of this book, you can look it up. Our next prompt on the bingo board is M-Spec, which stands for Multi-Attraction Spectrum and is the umbrella term for bisexual, pansexual, omnisexual, those types of things. For this one, I've chosen a fantasy novel called Ink in the Blood, a lush, dark YA fantasy debut that weaves together tattoo magic, faith, and eccentric theater in a world where lies are currency and ink is a weapon. Perfect for fans of Leigh Bardugo and Kendar Blake. I've read a little bit of Leigh Bardugo, I have not read Kendar Blake yet. From a brief scan of the synopsis, we've got a girl, we've got her best friend, they are inklings, which means that they use tattoo magic to do things for the crown, and then I think they find out that things are not all as they seem and they're going to use their powers elsewhere. I don't really want to read anymore, I just want to read it. For the history prompt, I decided instead of going with historical fiction or non-fiction, I was going to go with a book where the characters clearly have some history. That justifies me reading We Used to Be Friends by Amy Spalding. Not to mention, every time I think about this book, I think about, I believe it's the Veronica Mars theme tune. A long time ago, we used to be friends. Told in dual timelines, half of the characters moving forward in time and half moving backward, We Used to Be Friends explores the most traumatic breakup of all, that of childhood besties. At the start of their senior year in high school, James, a girl with a boy's name, and Kat are inseparable, but by graduation, they're no longer friends. James prepares to head off to college as she reflects on the disillusion of her friendship with Kat, while in alternating chapters, Kat thinks about being newly in love with her first girlfriend and having a future that feels wide open. I am very excited about this dual timeline where one's going forward and one's going back. I think that's going to be super interesting. Next, we have Host Rec, and I know that this is recommended by one of our hosts, that being Rachel over at Reads with Rachel, who is our guest host this round, because it's on her list of books I actually liked. Yes, she has a playlist for that. And I specifically haven't watched this video yet because I haven't read the book yet. The book in question is called Icebreaker. 17-year-old Mickey James III is a college freshman, a brother to 5 sisters, and a hockey legacy. With a father and grandfather who have gone down in NHL history, Mickey is almost guaranteed the league's top draft spot. The only person standing in his way is Jason Caulfield, the contender for the #1 spot, and Mickey's infuriating and infuriatingly attractive teammate. Already seeing where this is going, already excited. I usually don't care about actually watching sports, but give me a sports narrative, a sports story, a sports movie, and I'm there. Our next prompt is Memoir, and for this one I have pre-ordered something that is coming out on June 6th. That's Page Boy by Elliot Page. Page Boy is a groundbreaking coming-of-age memoir from the Academy Award-nominated actor Elliot Page, a generation-defining actor and one of the most famous trans advocates of our time. Elliot will now be known as an uncommon literary talent as he shares never-before-heard details and intimate interrogations on gender, love, mental health, relationships, and Hollywood. So excited for this. I love his work. Our next prompt on the bingo board is crime, and this was me throwing a cheeky nod to Be Gay, Do Crime, which is just a meme that I see in places and have seen video discussions about before. For this one, I've decided to read a book by a real favorite of mine, that's Jen Wilde, and the book is This Is the Way the World Ends. In fact, this one newly came out on May 9th, and I'm saving it until June. I don't know why, but I did. You are cordially invited to spend one fateful night surviving an elite private school's epic masquerade ball. As an autistic scholarship student at the prestigious Weber Academy in New York City, Waverly is used to masking to fit in. in more ways than one. While her classmates are the children of the 1%, Waverly is getting by on tutoring gigs and generosity of the school's charming and enigmatic dean. So when her tutoring student and resident it girl asks Waverly to attend the school's annual fundraising masquerade disguised as her, Waverly jumps at the chance, especially when she finds out that Ash, the dean's daughter, and her secret ex-girlfriend will be there. You can probably figure out by the fact that I am fulfilling the crime prompt that something bad is going to happen at this ball, and I'm pretty sure it's a murder. So I'm intrigued to see how that mystery is going to play out. Next, we have a prompt for either an Enby author or an Enby main character, and I've gone for the second of those. I'll be reading Symptoms of Being Human by Jeff Garvin. This is a book that I'm pretty sure my friend Xander has recommended many times, and I'm finally going to get around to reading it. The first thing you're going to want to know about me is, am I a boy or am I a girl? Riley Kavanaugh is many things: punk rock, snarky, rebellious, and gender fluid. Some days Riley identifies as a boy and others as a girl. The thing is, Riley isn't exactly out yet. And between starting a new school and having a congressman father running for re-election in an uber-conservative Orange County, the pressure, media and otherwise, is building up in Riley's so-called normal life. That sounds hecka stressful, so I'm intrigued to see how that's gonna go. Our next prompt on the bingo board is intersectional, and based on the cover of this book, I assume that our main character is black. Based on the synopsis of this book, this character has an eating disorder, so if that's something you don't want to hear about, just skip over to the next synopsis. The book in question is called Not Otherwise Specified. Etta is tired of dealing with labels and categories that seem so important to everyone else in her small Nebraska hometown. Everywhere she turns, someone feels she's too fringe for the fringe, not gay enough for the dykes or ex-clique, thanks to a recent relationship with a boy, not tiny and white enough for ballet, her first passion, and not sick enough to look anorexic, particularly thanks to recovery. Etta doesn't fit in anywhere until she meets Bianca, the straight, white, Christian, and seriously sick girl in Etta's therapy group. Both girls are auditioning for Brentwood, a prestigious New York theater academy that is so not Nebraska. Bianca seems like Etta's salvation, but how can Etta be saved by a girl who needs saving herself? This one definitely sounds like it's going to be interesting. Also, I was a huge theater kid and I still have quite the love for theater, so you might have noticed there's a couple of books on this list that have to do with theater. And yeah, that's because I love theater. Our next prompt is Folklore, and I'm honestly so excited to see what people are going to do with this prompt, just because there's so many things you can do. You can do retellings. There's probably a bunch of different things that I haven't even thought of that people are going to do. So if you post a TBR, please tag me so I can see it, because I am so excited to see what people are picking for this. For this one, I'm picking a novello that I've had on my TBR and had a physical copy of for what seems like ages now, and that's A Psalm for the Wild, built by Becky Chambers. Centuries before, robots of Panga gained self-awareness, laid down their tools, wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again. They fade into myth and urban legend. That's where the whole folklore aspect comes in for me, personally. Now the life of a tea monk who tells this story is upended by the arrival of a robot, there to honor the old promise of checking in. The robot cannot go back until the question of what do people need is answered. That's just fascinating to me. Also, if you can hear snoring in the background, Chad is having a nap. It's just gonna happen. I'm honestly really impressed that he can have a nap while I'm doing this. Our next prompt is continued. So continue a series, continue things by an author you like, whatever way you can work continued into what you want to read for this prompt, that's the answer. For me, I've gone with the author I've read before and want to keep reading from. The author is Robin Talley, and the book that I'm choosing for this time is What We Left Behind. Tori and Gretchen are the couple everyone envied in high school. They've been together forever. They never fight. They're deeply, hopelessly in love. When they separate for their first year at college, Tori to Harvard and Gretchen to NYU, they're sure they'll be fine. Where other long-distance relationships have fallen apart, theirs is bound to stay rock solid. Except for, maybe it's not. This is described as an emotional, empowering story of what happens when love may not be enough to conquer all. So, some tears might happen. Our next prompt is short stories. I have an anthology. I'm hoping to read all of the anthology, but if I am running short on time, I will read at least one thing from the anthology. That anthology is called Night of the Living Queers, 13 Tales of Terror and Delight. No matter its name or occasion, Halloween is more than a Hallmark holiday, it's a symbol of transformation. Night of the Living Queers is a YA horror anthology that explores how Halloween can be more than just candies and frights, but a night where anything is possible. Each short story will be told through the lens of a different BIPOC teen and Halloween night that changes their lives forever. Creative, creepy, and queer, this collection will bring fresh terror, heart, and humor to young adult literature. So excited. I love horror, I love queer things, I love spookiness. I'm going to love this. Our next prompt is Sapphic, and this is one I'm really surprised I haven't picked up yet because I loved the other book I read by this author and I just haven't gotten around to reading this one. This one is Hanny and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. A trope that I find kind of charming, actually. Everyone likes Humaira Hanny Khan. She's easygoing and one of the most popular girls at school. But when she comes out to her friends as bisexual, they invalidate her identity, saying that she can't be bi if she's only dated guys. Panicked, Hanny blurts out that she's in a relationship with a girl her friends absolutely hate. Ishita, Ishu Day. Ishu is the complete opposite of Hanny. She's an academic overachiever who hopes that becoming head girl will set her on the right track for college. But Ishita agrees to help Hanny if Hanny will help her become more popular so that she stands a chance of becoming elected head girl. And of course they're gonna fall in love because that's just gonna happen. It wouldn't be a Queer Lit Readathon TBR if I didn't use up the entire battery and have to switch to my backup battery. The last prompt on the bingo board is Queer Friends, and this is again another book that I've had for quite a while and just for whatever reason haven't gotten into. This one is called Magnifique Noir, I Am Magical by Brianna Lawrence. The revolution will be magical. There's a city. It's like most other cities. Buildings, people, monsters who can destroy sidewalks by vomiting acid on the ground, and an elite group of black queer magical girls who work to put these monsters in their place. See? Just like most other cities. Honestly, I don't need to read more. If you don't want to read it after hearing that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Outside of the fact that you might not like reading fantasy, in which case that's totally fine. You don't have to have the same tastes as me, that is okay. So far we've talked about 17 books. I did tell you that I have 18 potential books on this TBR, and that's because for whatever reason I have a backup book for the folklore category. I don't know why I felt I had to do this, but I was like, you know what, I have access to this book. I should just put it on there, just in case. If I have time, I'll also get to this one. That book is Silver in the Wood, which is the first in the Green Hollow duology by Emily Tesh. There is a wild man who lives in the deep quiet of Green Hollow, and he listens to the wood. Tobias, tethered to the forest, does not dwell on his past, but he lives a perfectly unremarkable existence with his cottage, his cat, and his dryads. When Green Hollow Hall acquires a handsome, intensely curious new owner in Henry Silver, everything changes. Old secrets better left behind are dug up, and Tobias is forced to reckon with his troubled past, both the green magic of the woods and the dark things that rest in its heart. It just sounds lovely and short and sweet, so why wouldn't I want to just, put it on here? It doesn't mean I have to read it this time around, but I'm gonna want to read it this time around. So there you have it. There are the 18 books for 16 prompts that I hope to read for the Queer Lit Readathon. If you're making a TBR, please let me know where I can find it, if it's on Instagram or Twitter, or if it's here on YouTube, or if it's on TikTok or anything like that. Please let me know down below where I can find it because I really want to see what people are reading. Also be sure to check out the TBRs by my co-hosts, which will hopefully be posted at the same time as this video, so should be available for your consumption now. What book are you most excited to read for the Queer Lit Readathon? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!